These are two things that no one tells you about manifestation. And even if someone has told you, you're about to hear it again. First things first, stop trying to manifest. Trying equals not having. So every time you say that you're trying to manifest, you're essentially saying that you want something and you don't have it. And even the word manifest itself, manifesting is about being. It's not about doing something in order to get something. So every time you keep saying that you're trying to manifest, you're essentially reinforcing the fact that you don't have what you want. You are unintentionally placing a distance between you and whatever it is that you're trying to call into your life. So if manifesting means being, you're literally being 24/7. So you're manifesting 24/7. And that's a big reason why I very rarely use the word manifest in any of my videos, because manifesting isn't something that you go out and do. It's something that you are. So if you already are being a version of yourself right now, whatever version of yourself that you're being is what you're manifesting. So whatever you see out in your reality, that is a direct reflection of who you are being. So when you want to manifest something that you don't see out in your life yet, ask yourself, who am I being? And that brings me to point number 2, which is be the version of yourself that is completely whole. And what I mean by that is you have this wholeness to you. We all do. And we've had it since the moment that we were born. When we were born complete and utterly whole. Wholeness means that you're not lacking anything. We don't have to fight for love. We don't have to fight to earn our worth. We don't have to earn anything. But throughout our journey of life, we start to build our own set of beliefs, whether those are favorable or unfavorable. And those set of beliefs also shift around and morph throughout our lives as well. So maybe 10 years ago, we had a certain belief around a certain thing, but maybe right now, we don't have that belief anymore. We don't look at a certain thing the same way because your beliefs can change. And the reason why you have beliefs in the first place is because everything that you see out in your life, everything that you experience, you give a meaning to that. So whatever meaning that you place on things is essentially what you believe for yourself. And again, it doesn't matter if it's favorable or unfavorable, but the meaning that you give things is exactly what builds up your beliefs in the first place. So when you're trying to manifest something that you don't already have or see in your life, you need to remember that you were born with that wholeness, the completeness, the I'm not lacking anything. Or I'm sure you hear everyone saying, be the version of yourself who has it. But see, being the version of yourself who has it doesn't mean going out and taking all of these forced actions. It literally means if you had the thing that you want right now, what would you be doing in this moment? Because you wouldn't be thinking of all the ways or all the things that you could do in order to get that thing. You would just be sitting in the knowing that it's already yours because it's literally already yours. And I'm going to give you an example of this, or a metaphor. I used to be a classroom teacher for several years. And when I was not in the classroom, I wouldn't say to myself, oh my God, wait, I don't feel like a teacher right now. I'm not teaching. So now I don't feel like a teacher. What should I go and do to make myself feel like a teacher? Like, I would not freak out over the fact that I was not teaching every second of the day. Instead, what I would do is I would just live out my day. Like, if I'm enjoying the weekend and if I'm sitting down on the couch watching a movie, all of a sudden, these natural ideas would pop into my head. Let's say a student was struggling the past week to learn a concept. When I was at home on the weekend, just minding my business, watching a movie, naturally I would get these ideas that would pop into my head and I would be like, whoa, wait a second. I think I know how I could help that one student. And I would jot it down in my notes, whatever came to my mind. Or maybe I would get a whole idea on a project to do the next week in class. And I would put the project together exactly how I saw it in my head. But it wasn't these conscious thoughts of, what should I do? What should I do next? Oh my God, I don't feel like a teacher. What do I need to do? It wasn't like that. I was naturally led to new ideas or new projects, new anything that I could implement in my classroom. It wasn't that I didn't feel like a teacher. It was that I already knew that I was a teacher, so I wasn't worried about anything. And even in the times where I would doubt myself as a teacher, even in the times where I would be like, oh my God, am I doing enough? Like, are they really learning though? Even in those times when I would start spiraling, thinking, oh my God, well, maybe I should start doing this more or that more, or I should do this better, or let me scratch that whole lesson plan and come up with a whole new one. And I would feel that sort of desperation. It was coming from a place of fear or doubt. And see, that's the same thing that happens when people say that they're trying to manifest something. They're trying to do something out of desperation or fear or doubt because they don't trust themselves, because they don't trust that wholeness or that completeness within themselves. So when I would turn into desperate teacher mode, I noticed that even if I did put lessons together that were good, they still weren't as helpful as I would have liked them to be. And especially because the energy around what I did in order to come up with the lesson, it was not that of wholeness and completeness. It was that energy of desperation. So some students would grasp the concept of the lesson and other students still wouldn't. But see, when I would just be sitting at home on the weekend minding my business, relaxing and knowing that I was a great teacher no matter what, these ideas would naturally pop into my head. So when I would implement those natural ideas into the classroom the following week, I saw more student success with that, more student progress. And there would even be students that would be like, Miss, that was a really fun project. Can we do it again? And it was, again, from those ideas that were natural. So when it comes to manifestation, it's not about doing more. It's quite literally about doing less, about sitting in the knowing of who you are. So when you feel like, okay, well, but how do I just be the version of myself that has everything that I want? Remember that you were born whole. It's not about what do I have to do, what do I have to think. It's about just literally being yourself. It's that simple. So yeah, you can go out and do techniques. You can go out and affirm if you want to. You can write affirmations on your mirror. You can journal before you go to bed. Techniques or methods or whatever you want to call them are perfectly fine. And if that's something that makes you feel good, then do it. But here is the difference. If you are doing affirmations or techniques, whatever, in order to get what you want, you're doing it out of desperation. There's a difference between doing or saying affirmations or journaling or scripting or whatever because you're trying to get something, and journaling, scripting, doing affirmations because you already feel whole inside. So let's say you're someone that you do like to journal or you do like to script, and you like to script about or journal about your desire as if you already have it now because it makes you feel good. Well, that's great. But if you're doing that and then afterwards you're like, where is it though? Like, I don't see it. Or like, let's say you're trying to manifest away being an overthinker and you're like, oh my God, but I still feel like my brain is so cloudy. Well, yeah, because you're scripting or journaling and you're making yourself feel good, but you're not being that. Again, going back to point number one, when you are doing something to get something, you're doing it out of desperation. You're saying, I don't have this thing. The universe always reflects who you are. Your identity always leads your behavior. So if your identity is, I don't have the thing that I want, and your behavior to that is, I'm going to do these things to try to manifest, then you're going to keep experiencing the same thing that you don't want over and over and over. If your identity always leads your behavior, then who are you being in this moment? Because if you know without a doubt that you can have, do, and be whatever you want, you're not going to be worried about not seeing the things that you want. And again, going back to the teacher example, I would naturally get ideas because I know that's probably your next question. Okay, well, if I'm just being the version of myself that's whole and complete, then how is my manifestation just going to come to me? But your job is not to worry about how things happen because things are going to happen how they're meant to happen. They're going to play out however they play out. Your only job is to know that you are whole and complete and that you have whatever your heart desires. Because when you lead from that identity, it's going to lead your behavior. Just like how I knew that I was a teacher, so on the weekend, I wouldn't try to do more teacher things on purpose. I would relax and do what felt good to me because I knew that I was a teacher. So while I was just watching a movie, I would get ideas that naturally came to my mind. So then I would naturally implement those ideas in the classroom the following week. And then they would end up actually helping the students. So when you do that for yourself in regards to your desires, if you're like, you know what could I do today? What would the version of me who had what I want, what would they do right now in this moment? Even if it's something like they would be going for a walk. So go for a walk. And you know what? What if on your walk, you bump into someone and they mention something, they bring up something, or they bring up an opportunity that leads you to your desire? Do you see how you wouldn't be going out and forcing anything to make that happen? That would just happen naturally for you. And that's the point that I'm trying to make. When you lead with that wholeness and completeness in yourself, it leads your behaviors, and your behaviors lead to new opportunities, new experiences, new people, new places, new things that lead you to your desire. You don't have to worry about how your desire comes to you. All you need to do is just sit in the knowing that you're whole and complete and you have everything that you could ever imagine.